What's the burden of being the one person who goes through this 9-month period and is the only one who's from beginning to end documenting this process? There were other photographers on the site at different times, but obviously you took this on in a much longer term sense, and you became the one to do this. What was that burden to you?
It's odd what it developed to be. The burden that I saw was that I was insufficient to the task of recording it all. I couldn't be in all places at every moment. I was only just one person. I had originally wanted a core of photographers so that we could be all over the site and make this unified record. It wasn't about me doing it. But it fell to me once Mayor Giuliani and the police commissioners said they didn't want any record made. So my insinuating myself in and hanging on as I was thrown out day after day after day allowed me to make the record. But I bore the burden all the time of feeling like I can't get it all. But I resolved that to realize, well, something's better than nothing. And so the second layer of burden is, how can I make a document that is comprehensive enough, given these limitations, that it's actually useful afterwards? And what do I look at? What do I take in besides my own narrow aesthetic as an individual and as an artist? I have a way of looking at the world. So now I have to be more gregarious in a way. I have to look at things that don't interest me normally. For instance, trucks. I don't care about trucks. But if you saw the trucks that had driven from all over the country coming into this site to remove the debris, all these trucks with hand-painted cabs and hoods and ornamentation and calligraphy, and I mean, they're beautiful.
You know, it's this difficult moment of you're in the midst of all of this terrible thing, and yet you describe, and you can see it now as you speak about it, this sense of discovery,
Yes.
This sense of engagement with the new. That must be, in any case, at the heart of photography, but here, again, in these circumstances, at the same time, it is sublime that you could do this, and the other, it's this horrible sense of human limits. We just can't do more than we can do.
That's right.
And this is really the encounter that you had, I guess, on a daily basis.
It was, and in a sense, it made a better man out of me in many ways, artistically, spiritually, compassionately. I felt like I grew in those 9 months. I extended my range because I became, rather than the solitary artist that I live my days as, I became a member of a team. And it was spacious. I have to say, I felt excited daily when I put my gear on and I trekked down into the site. I was raring to go, and I felt young and new and, it sounds corny, but reborn into being a photographer and seeing the variety of things that I could see. And interestingly, it changed over the arc of the 9 months. It really changed. In the beginning, it was all chaos, and the human figure was tiny on the pile. They were like this. Individuals barely came forward, in a sense. We were all enmeshed in it. But as the pile diminished over the 9 months and became a hole in the ground, human beings began to stand out more. As well as I had come to know more people, and they knew me, and somehow that significance changed. And so even in the course of this book, it starts with the general, you know, the image of the whole, circling around the pile again and again and again. And over time, I'm going down layers and layers until I'm basically at bedrock, and it's now no rubble but people. By that time also, the camouflage that the rubble provided, so that its intricacy sort of shielded individuals from being picked out as individuals. Suddenly, to find people walking around in an empty space allowed them to stand out. And this was the final passage in Ground Zero where the search for remains continued to the very last day. But now the people were more clearly distinguished in their search. You could see a person not hidden in the rubble, but you could see them dusting the last bit of bedrock, looking for some final bone or tissue or something that might identify somebody. So that was clearer and clearer to me. And that was progressive. It didn't just happen like that. I mean, certainly by March, it was beginning to have that relationship. And certainly even earlier, now and then, I made a single portrait of somebody or a group if it seemed to me to be necessary. But certainly when the pile disappeared, the humans were the subject.